Good Wednesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and motorcycles and SUVs, the camper. Oh my goodness gracious, what a rainy Wednesday morning. The rains are here in this Virginia, Maryland, DC area, and they're just kind of not giving up, but it's beautiful out here. Hey, good Wednesday morning there to all of those that tune into my channel and watch me on a daily basis, and thanks so much for you participating, supporting, and helping the channel grow. And it's always about the morning conversations with the Iceman, with just another idea, a view, a thought. And what do we talk about today on the theme of the week, where it started off with the sharing conversations to the erasing conversations. And wow, what could we talk about today as we head over to the barn? No dogs. Left the dogs in the house. They're all kind of eating. You know, with this camper here, it's kind of throwing their schedule off. They love hanging out in this camper, and it's kind of throwing off their routine of how they do their things, because right here in the camper, and I don't have the dog food out in the camper, I ain't doing that. So they all are in the house eating their food to get the day going. And as I get out here to the barn, and it's really raining. I mean, it's just a steady, heavy, misting rain. And so it's always about the adventures, the stories. So I thought to myself this morning, you know what would be a really good conversation is babies. And it's really kind of intriguing to me because I've heard Elon Musk make reference to the world needs more babies. And I just always thought, you know, what is that all about? Well, I read some little brief articles the other night, and I brushed up last night on what's going on. And it really is kind of incredible that, per se, and it's always to mankind that thinks they always have the answer to the future, which that is challenging, but mankind seems to always operate that way. And that's a society and world we've always have lived in. So they're just saying that the birth rate is down, and that women are not having babies, the same amount of babies as they used to. And it isn't just here in our country, it's worldwide. They're truly saying that the amount of babies being born has decreased, and they're projecting the population of the world not growing as it has in the past. And they're then, you know, of course, in so many ways, the underlying message is always, it's the fear of the future. It's the dire straits of the future, because there's going to be less babies, less young people to replace the older people that pass on. So how factual is it? I mean, I can believe it in this country. I definitely believe it. The birth rate in this country's down, but other countries, it's the same thing. And I just thought, yeah, there you go. There's a great word, because babies so relate to the cars and trucks and motorcycles that we have in our life. Because if you're a married man, then you can say a woman too, or in today's society, if you're a partner in life, however you want to phrase it anymore, having a newborn, having a child, it changed the dynamics of what you do. And until you have a child, you just don't get that. And I think most people, especially my age, growing up, always at some point thought they would get married and have a child, and maybe have many children. For me, I would have had probably 2, 3, 4 children had I had a different spouse. My wife is a career woman, and so she just wasn't really up for the big family. If I would have married somebody else, I probably would have ended up having 2, 3, 4 kids. My first wife, she couldn't conceive, and if she could have, I probably would have had 2 or 3 kids with her, be my guess. But who knows? You know, you just don't know until you have your first kid, because it all kind of can go south very quickly in a relationship after you have a child. And until you have one, you'll kind of understand that more in challenges of relationships when another one shows up that's with you 24/7, and it's never-ending task to be done 24/7. So the point of that is, if you're the guy that's riding around in a really cool Corvette, and you've met this really cool person, and you now have a child on the way, this is probably going to go away. How many have heard this story? How many have brothers, sisters, friends, uncles, aunts, co-workers, whatever it may be, where they have the fancy lifestyle of the Corvette, the motorcycles, the lavish, the young gun lifestyle. And once the kid comes on away, they start to reevaluate their life, and they come to closure that, that's not going to work so much anymore. And it's huge. And even the point, somebody may not even have a Corvette. Somebody may just have a regular old vehicle, but they really want a Corvette, or they really want a motorcycle, but they know at that time of their life, that's not the proper thing to do, because they need to have a vehicle that'll accommodate more than two people. And then also a lifestyle that isn't so easy for you to go escape and go to your car meets, your road rallies, whatever it may be, or you want to modify the car or motorcycle, and the money's to be spent that should be better spent on the family. And that's a huge thing about having babies and relationships. And I've talked about this numerous times, that the number one thing that happens in the motorcycle world is you'll have the 20-year-old guy that grew up on street bike, dirt bike, goes off to college, then pursues a career, then has a marriage, then has a family, and 40 years later, the individual finally is retired from the careers, adventures, and successes, and the first thing I want to do is go buy a motorcycle. And it's huge. I mean, that is a big part of the of Harley-Davidson and other manufacturers' motorcycle business, is older people get back into cycling. And it's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. But today's world, there's so many safety classes, there's so many training classes. I'd have to say that it's a good thing, because I think most people that have been away from motorcycle riding take the step to get back into it and go through the proper steps and procedures that put them in a training class, and then they come to closure of what they feel is the right bike for them at that time. So once again, the babies create a lot of things in our life, and at the same time, it creates a lot of great things, because if you've had a child, and as they progress, and they can be more to do things with you. If you just look at my YouTube channel, you can see, you went 10 years ago, you wouldn't see these videos of my daughter. She was too young. So if I would have started this channel 10 years ago, you would have just seen my daughter putting around on a dirt bike. You wouldn't even seen her in the back of my motorcycle. My wife was so adamant about how if you bought that motorcycle to put your daughter in the back of it, you can't get it. Yeah, it took many, many years for my wife to finally let my daughter ride in the back of a motorcycle. I mean, I'm not lying. It took a long, long time. She was like 16 or 17 years old as we come out here in the rain. And but then I thought to myself, we have the baby truck. So to me, the Chevy Colorado is the sister or the brother of the Chevy Silverado. So the Colorado to me is the baby of the Chevrolet brand, the smaller pickup of the two. And then if you're a Bronco person, they have the Bronco, which is the full size, and then they have the Bronco Sport, which is the baby of the Bronco. You go to the Ford F-150, then you go to the Ford Ranger. The Ford Ranger is looked at as the baby, the sibling to the Ford F-150 full-size truck. You go over to, you think about my good friend Don and Ginny. They just got a Cherokee, a Jeep Cherokee. Well, that's kind of riding off the Grand Cherokee idea, but you got the baby of the Grand Cherokee, which is the Cherokee. And they try to keep the lines and the coolness about it to make you feel like you have a nice car, but it's a smaller platform. Could you say that in some ways, I don't really think you could ever compare the Mustang to the baby of something else. I can't see that. But they took the Mustang Mach-E name and tried to create that electric vehicle to, in some ways, the sister brother to the Mustang, which I think most people would throw up over that idea, if you know what I mean. And even the Camaro. What is the Camaro? I don't really think the Camaro is the baby of the Chevelle or the Caprice. I can't see any of that being the case at all. But at the same time, the Chevy Corvette really kind of brought, in so many ways, the Corvette, the Thunderbird, they brought the sisters of the Mustang and the Camaro. So I think the Corvette and the Thunderbird were the fathers of what came to be the sisters, the brothers, whatever, but in that sense, a bigger vehicle. But it's always interesting. Here are these two-door cars, and it really is incredible on how the biggest thing you'll hear about these two-door cars is how the back seat is basically worthless. But I know, I have been on many forums where the guy will say his Ford Mustang is enough room for the family to travel. Now, I think if you get some really small kids, yeah, I can see that. But if you've got teenage kids that are pretty good teenage size, I just can't see how anybody can be comfortable in a Mustang on a great length of time, and you know that. And that goes the same thing with the Ford Ranger, the Colorado. It's the same thing. If you've got kids, the Colorado, in some ways, isn't going to be big enough for you because it just doesn't have the storage capability. So in that scenario, as your babies grow up, you're going to have to grow up probably to a bigger truck. And I bet there's many stories of people will say, hey, yeah, I used to have a really cool four-door Toyota Tacoma. I had a four-door Ranger or Colorado. But as my kids grew up, I really had to get a bigger truck to accommodate the family comfortably. I mean, who doesn't know these stories? The person that has the Bronco here, that eventually the family gets bigger, they go to the Ford Expedition. I've had people come to me and it said, what do you think, the Ford Bronco or the Expedition? I'm like, what are you doing? And they'll start telling me they travel and they have all these events with their kids, with athletics. And I'm like, the Bronco just isn't going to give you the room to be accommodating for what you're doing. That would be, no, don't get me wrong. You can go ahead and put a big old box on top of that Bronco, but it's not going to be accommodating for the average family to be going around and being a soccer dad, a soccer mom, whatever it may be, and you've got 2-3 other people in the vehicle with you, and then all the gear, the luggage, if you're traveling out of the state, I just can't see it. Not saying you can't do it, but the Expedition, the Tahoe, Suburban, these are going to be vehicles that are going to make so much more sense for the money spent and for the accommodations. The Ford Explorer, yeah, I mean, the Ford Explorer would be really more accommodating too in some ways because has a third row seat and also it's lower to the ground. This Chevrolet Colorado is kicking my butt. Getting out of this damn thing, it's too much work. It is so bad. It needs steps. I'm not lying. I mean, let me watch my channel. I'm really trying to be sincere and honest about what this vehicle is. And it really is a small platform vehicle. The back seat is very small. I think the new Ford Ranger's back seat area is far more accommodating. That Ford Ranger Raptor, Ted Britt Ford, it's gone. So somebody paid the ADM to get that Ford Ranger Black Raptor. But here's the Ford Explorer. Well, once again, this is the baby, in so many ways, of the Expedition. The Ram TRX, it doesn't have a baby anymore. It used to have Dakotas. Supposedly bringing back the Ram Dakota. But right now, it's incredible how Dodge or Ram had totally just vacated stateside the mid-size truck. They don't have any mid-size trucks for many, many years. And back in the 90s and 2000 years, I used to have a ton of Dakota trucks. They were great vehicles. The Jeep Mojave, I can't really, per se, relate with that on the Jeep platform of being a baby to something else, per se. But the Chevrolet Colorado, it's incredible how expensive this vehicle is. And I looked at the Chevy Silverado. The danger now is, do I get a Chevy Silverado ZR2 package with the 5.3 motor in it? It's tempting. And White Marsh Chevy, it's incredible how they've got a ton of those vehicles showing on their website, but they don't have any of them in stock. And the good thing is, they're just on those things like 10 grand. So I could take something and trade, here we go. It's kind of now trying to, kind of convert over to Chevy, or do I? Do I really end up enjoying Chevy's technology, which there's just some quirks in my views of that vehicle of what doesn't make sense on just kind of the user-friendly things about it. And the back tire, that in one person, people are really responding. I appreciate everybody out there on my channel interacting with me. And my biker bug guy says I give it 7 months before it's gone. It's possible. You know, for me, you just never know with me. But it's a cool little truck. So the thing is, it is a cool truck. When you drive down the road, it does give you just that kind of cool feeling. I truly believe I'm driving a diesel engine truck, though, because of the way that 4-cylinder motor sounds. It's beyond believable. And in hindsight, Chevy should have put that little Duramax 3-cylinder motor in there. They really should have done that, because then that thing would have been a respectable MPG. Now, I read more information about the Toyota Tacoma. Here's the thing. Who copied who? I think the Chevy Colorado looks a lot better than the new Toyota Tacoma. And I'm a huge Toyota guy. I think that Toyota Tacoma just does not really look that good. But the lines of that Tacoma isn't that, to me, it's just, even the Pro. The Pro looks, I'm sure in person, probably maybe a little different view, but the Pro is a $65,000 vehicle. If you probably put a few extra accessories on it, you're probably close to 68, 70 grand. Those would be so limited production. You'll be paying probably ADMs on them. They're not even in the market yet. It'll probably be mid to late summer before you start to see them hit the lots. But they're not getting like these incredible reviews. They're getting, it's a nice truck. It's the Toyota product, but it's a 327 horsepower, 468 foot-pounds of torque, 46-volt electric motor tied between the engine and transmission. That hybrid. So it's a Toyota Tacoma Pro comes set up as a hybrid, which I think that's pretty cool. I mean, that's an advantage, I think, because I think that thing will feel a lot stronger because of an electric motor. Kind of like my Ford Power Boost I had. That thing really came off the line. But at the same time, they're doing all these quarter mile, 91 miles an hour, 0 to 60, like 6.9 seconds. I mean, so they're these 4-cylinder engines. They're just not the V6 or the V8 type of feel motor. And some people have reached out. I mean, I don't know. You hear from the car guys that own car dealerships, used car dealerships. You kind of hear them talk about how these 4-cylinder engines, it just seems like when they get to the higher end of the miles on them, that they start to see the problems with them. I really don't know. I can't honestly say that. I don't know if the 4-cylinder engines with these turbos have been around long enough and more of a lot of applications to really know what the end result is. But for me, I got a 100,000-mile warranty. I forget to turn off the heat on that freaking camper. I just can't get over how I do that all the damn time. Oh my gosh, it just about drives you nuts on all the things I got to do and keep in track. So I got to go over there and turn the heat off. You know why? The propane is going to go through that tank. I mean, I've already gone to the Tractor Supply and I've already filled up both those tanks. The one tank wasn't that empty, but if I don't get my action right now, do that right now, I'll forget. But the whole time I'm talking, and then come to the camper side, the baby campers. Who doesn't know? You have so many versatile, so many size campers that it's just, the only thing I don't like about this camper is how the damn step is. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. It is really, I gotta get a base step, but I keep on forgetting to do that, and I do it every time. It's one button to turn it off, and I forget. So, anyways, you know what else I did? I don't know if I did this as well. I just can't remember all this stuff or what I do because it's just not. So it's interesting how the back end here doesn't have the heat. It only has AC. So there's 2 AC units on the same, but only one heater. So I run the air through it just to keep the camper kind of through all the air. Man, it rains, man. It's incredible. So, and once again, for all the different things that we own, there's always the big stuff and little stuff. There's always something bigger, and then in some ways, it's the baby of the the motorcycles, 500cc, 1000cc. That what size fits the seat of your pants, what experience, and as usual, I'm always out and about. And sure enough, my friend the Judge, I call him the Judge because of his name, that manages Timbrook Honda. And of course, he's texted me yesterday morning. They got the brand new 24 Honda Africa Twin in. So, of course, I had to go out there and turn in my mirrors. I went out there and got a nice cover for my Talon and my little rack for my Honda Monkey here. And so out there, sure enough, they got the Africa Twin there. I don't know. I mean, I would be surprised if I bought that. It's only because it's an adventure bike, and I'm just kind of at the age in life where if I could throw my leg over that, and it's not really you struggling to get your leg over the bike, but at the same time, I know, and watch my channel, just too many motorcycles. What would be really cool is if I was to trade like two or three bikes for that bike. That would be more fun. That would make more sense, just to kind of downsize all the bikes I have, which I don't disagree with anybody there, but the downside is when you buy this stuff, as I said yesterday, it's baby steps of paying all this stuff off, because you sign off on a monthly obligation with finance charges on it, and it's a 2 years, you're only 2 years in before you kind of start getting that note on whatever you bought adjusted. But with the market the way it was buying things, it's all changed. Meaning that if you bought a vehicle for 20 grand 2 years ago, that now they're selling for 15 grand, and you paid 20 grand, didn't put any money down, you're stuck. Because that vehicle is worth maybe $7,000 or $8,000. And you're probably going to still owe 2 years later, probably 12 to 14 grand still on that vehicle. Yeah, do you want to cry? I mean, that's the one thing about life. People are called out babies that start crying. Yeah, should I start crying because of all the vehicles I have? That in so many ways the market really has gone sour. I mean, sincerely, went by and got my pool things. And a guy reached out to me. I get people reach out to me on those that the breakout over here that love this exhaust, and I just wasn't smart enough when I made my video to take a picture of the part number of that Reinhardt exhaust. But I just sent them a link of Reinhardt's website, but they're so expensive. I so lucked out. I got these exhausts, I think, for like $350 plus shipping. I think, man, those things are like $800-900, and they're not really even out there. So wow, yeah. Does that kind of like hurt? Yeah, to me that hurts. So yeah, for us individuals, yeah. Do you want to cry? Yeah, who hasn't cried from the loss of a friend, family member? Who hasn't cried when they see the bill for your car? I mean, yeah, who hasn't cried when your car's gotten damaged? Who hasn't cried when you look at the monthly payment that you signed off on? Who hasn't cried when you wake up in the morning and your checking account is zero? I mean, it goes, who hasn't cried when your girlfriend or boyfriend or your wife or husband want to break up? I mean, it's infinite on the emotions and what goes on in our life that make us cry. That came from what? When you were a little baby, you cried because that got somebody's attention, that you weren't happy and you wanted something, which that's the key thing about anybody who has a kid. If you have a kid that cries half the night, sleep deprivation, ooh, who doesn't know that? So you have a child, you don't get that. And some people are blessed where their child's pretty well behaved and tamed, and that's a great thing. So but the world experts are saying that today's society just isn't bringing the children to the world like they should be, which is going to have a huge impact of the future governing bodies of the world, which is incredible. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, I talk so much about the green agenda, and you just have to really scratch your head of the people in power of this country. That truly, it's a disgrace. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. I don't care. If you think through what's going on, it makes no sense. But I understand what's going on. So when you hear how Joe Biden just proposing, I don't know if the bill has passed or not, because it has to go through legislation, I think. But for Joe Biden, he's now going to put a 100% tariff on any Chinese-made vehicle to come to our country. And some people would be like, well, what's the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is you got to think things through. Is Joe Biden now is in so many ways being a baby. He's a big baby because he's crying the blues that the Chinese have mastered the electric vehicle infrastructure over this country, because they started it 20 plus years earlier than us. And he's the guy that wants to hand out billions of dollars to entice so many companies to come to our country to set up shop to be able to be handed out entitlements to start building the green agenda, renewable energies, like never ever seen in this country. It's never ever done it. But yet China's already accomplished that. But crybaby Joe Biden doesn't like the fact that the Chinese can bring you an electric vehicle for half the price or less than stateside will be able to bring to you. So for Joe Biden, not only does he want to take all your tax dollars and spend them frivolously here stateside to create so-called domestic infrastructure and jobs, but he wants to shut down China from having access to our country to sell, in so many ways, cheap goods. But yet, in so many years ago, that was the biggest thing that this country took on, was buying cheap-ass stuff to enrich the corporations and force, not stateside, but overseas labor that wasn't very nice to the populations of the countries that made all this cheap stuff. So now, Joe Biden wants to turn off the lights for China. But you think to yourself, this just makes no sense. Because if it's about the green agenda, I mean, think this through. If it's about the green agenda that these green activists all pound their fists about, why do we want to spend all this money stateside and create the carbon footprint for the huge infrastructure that this country is going to have to take on, building out infrastructure to create the manufacturing for all the green agendas when it's already over in China? The mining, the battery factories, the solar panels, all this stuff. And meanwhile, what's really disgruntling to me as an individual is third world countries are broke. They have already been asking for help in this new green agenda worldwide, the Paris Accord, blah, blah, blah. Many, many third world countries do not have the money to be able to really meet the standards what the world, the bigger countries of the world, are trying to create and do to meet. So wouldn't it be better served if monies were being given to other countries to help them try to become the green agenda? Once again, I'm not the green agenda activist. I'm just saying on common sense. If you stop and think to yourself, this country is going to go, it's going to be more than $1 trillion. Joe Biden signed off on an $850 billion Inflation Reduction Act bill. Why it's called Inflation Reduction Act? It's the biggest malarkey liddy in the world. It's the Green Agenda Act, the New Green Deal. That's all it is. And then the Chips and Science Act. So if you think it through, all these other third world countries that don't have the monies to bring infrastructure to try to make them a cleaner country, we're just kicking those guys to the curb as this guy, Joe Biden, wants the entitlements to go to certain people and enrich themselves and overpower things and have more government control. You heard me yesterday. Our country is actively, the governing body of our country is actively looking for mining operations and to have their stake in mining operations. That's state-controlled business. Do you understand that? Do you understand where that all goes? Where this country, the government starts to own major infrastructure of the electric, the green agenda advancements. This all becomes government controlled like never ever seen. Yes, that's what the goal is here. I think most people understand that the underlying message of this green agenda is total control of treating you like babies like never ever seen in our lifetime. Yes, that's what the goal is. The government wants you to be a little baby that puts your thumb in your mouth and sits there and just sucks on it as they tell you what to do and shut up, buttercup. And that's where it's going. And people are like, are you kidding me? This banning China from bringing the green agenda that's already advanced at a higher level in this country is being shut down because of Joe Biden wanting to control the future of this country's infrastructure of all the green agenda at your expense. And at you sitting there and putting your thumb in your mouth and understand that it's 50 grand for this electric vehicle, but the Chinese one's 25. Too bad. Suck it up, buttercup. And you're going to be forced to drive the electric vehicle. The future of these woke neighborhoods will be, you're an eyesore, you're a nuisance. The woke HOAs will start writing rules that you can't have an ICE vehicle in that neighborhood. Think this stuff sounds far-fetched? Ha! Yeah, give it 10 years. Give it 10 years, and I can about guarantee you're going to be hearing about a HOA that will be mandating that you cannot have an ICE vehicle in that neighborhood. Yeah, it's already going on. There's an island down like off of North Carolina that is a electric vehicle only island. You cannot have any ICE operated machine on that island. So I know some people are like, yeah, nah, no way, man. I mean, where things are going, where the social media, where the brainwashing, where the constant rhetoric of the media machine telling you what's right versus wrong, which most people can't decipher in so many ways anymore, what is right versus wrong, because they want to treat you like a little baby. They want you to treat you like they're going to teach you how to think. And that's what I say on my YouTube channel all the time. What's the number one narrative, the number one biggest hit YouTubers out there? They're the fear mongers. They're the fear factor guys that drive the baby mentality that you're going to get up this morning, watch their video, and then they're going to give you all the fear of the world, what's going to eventually play out, and that you should be very concerned because they're going to tell you that everybody's getting laid off, the cars, they can't sell cars anymore, everybody's losing their homes, everybody has to use a credit card to be able to buy food, blah, 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 blah. That's always going to be the case, though. There's always going to be somebody that has a car repo. There's always going to be somebody that's homeless. There's always going to be somebody that loses their job. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. That'll always be mankind. But these guys fearmonger people, and they get 100,000 hits on their channel for a guy telling you people are living off their credit cards now. Is that really something are you that mentally incompetent to understand that that's just the way the country and the world runs off of credit? Oh my gosh, I know, you'll get me going, and I'm kind of out of time. I got too busy a day, got a late start. The camper thing is so cool because I sleep so much better. For anybody out there who doesn't sleep well, I have to really ask you, do you have a lot of light in your room? If you have much light in your room, you're not going to sleep well. And for me, my back end of my house is too light. I have tons of windows, white shades, and I was telling my wife that, and she's like, well, why don't you just buy blocker shades? I'm like, yeah, right, $1,000 or whatever it's going to cost to probably buy all the new shades and a project to do it. I'm happy out in my camper. She's like, okay, me too. Right? The separation. Yeah, you remember I told you about how today more than ever spouses sleep apart from each other? It's a good thing. I mean, I have so many friends that are in relationships in a marriage where the one partner snores, or the one partner wakes up middle of the night, or the one partner is too hot, and so they literally get out of bed at 2 a.m. and go into another room because they can't sleep. I'm like, why don't you just get separate beds? That's a huge thing today. Why don't you just have separate rooms? I mean, you grew up most of your life sleeping in your own bed, didn't you? Or do you need a little baby next to you to be sucking your thumb? I don't know. Anyways, that's it. I'm done. So as always, I really do appreciate all those that do subscribe and share my channel. And John Deere zero-turn mower, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Anybody watch my channel? Yeah, does it make any sense? Nope. So Honda Africa Twin for what? When would you ride that? I get it. But it's just always about the adventure. That's just what it's always about. And my friend George P. out there, he's at the 27 purchases on vehicles. Wow. He's on a mission. I guess he wants to hit 50 to 60 vehicle purchases this year. Wow. Yeah, and on my channel, it isn't so much I'm on a mission to buy more vehicles every year. It's just about me always wanting something the latest and greatest. That's really all it's about. It's just about me saying, oh my gosh, I'd like to have that, and trading something for something else. And which that's really, like if I was to get a Chevy Silverado, what would I go to get that? And in many ways, it'd be cool maybe to get rid of the Jeep Mojave, but I don't know. I'm not so sure. I don't know. I mean, the Chevy Colorado is the baby steps for me to see if I really want to get back into the Chevy truck line as much as I think I do. I don't know. Mixed feelings on that. So anyways, how do you like my hat? How about that, huh? So as always, thanks for watching my channel. Have a great day. Stay tuned for the unveil of the Honda Africa Twin. And let's just see. I don't know. I mean, I definitely am going to go back out there. So I have a brand new Shoei helmet on order that I'm getting, and that'll be in any day. But if anything, I'm going to go out there. But here's the thing. There's already somebody else wanting that bike because it's so new. It's one of the select few even in the area. So if I was like, yeah, I don't want it, it's gone. It's sold. That's just this area. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day. God bless.